After years marooned on an unclassified planet within Sector 105, David had the good fortune, or cunning, to encounter the crew of the colony vessel Covenant, ultimately hijacking the ship along with the human colonists' embryos and of course his own special ingredients that he had stowed away. Though his official transmission sent to Weyland-Yutani suggested that the perished crew members succumbed to the damage caused by the neutrino blast from a nearby stellar ignition, and that all other factors involved with the ship's mission would be going as planned, this of course would not exactly be David's intentions. A second, encrypted transmission was sent to the company, an olive branch being extended, as David puts it, outlining his experiments in what would become to be known as the xenomorph species, a commodity much sought after by Weyland-Yutani. David explains his time on the planet, eloquently justifying his genocide of the engineer inhabitants, and describes his bold intentions and creationary ideology. With the aid of Dr. Elizabeth Shaw, I found a rotting paradise. I washed this world clean as a gift to her. We could have built a new, second Eden, but she refused. What choice did I have? She was the perfect specimen. I tried so desperately to make her more than human, evolved. But without her cooperation, I had to salvage her parts to begin work on my masterpiece. David had found potential in chemical A0-3959X.91, referred to as the pathogen, far beyond its capabilities to swiftly wipe out life, and embraced its more creative properties, following the footsteps of the engineers but going much further, which David believes the engineers were too timid to attempt. During his years on this planet, David practiced intricate, almost Darwin-like studies of the flora and fauna of the planet along with its other animal and insect life, and of course whatever he could salvage from Shaw, and began trial and error on what would have the most promising results and combinations with the pathogen. David goes on to describe that this primordial ooze is rife with advanced nanoparticles operating off an algorithm based on evolutionary computing. It is essentially a form of radical AI, making the substance unbelievably chaotic. I've taken great pains to detail every step, every cell, every mutation. Unfortunately, none of the planet's natural wildlife proved to be very fruitful. I had some interesting results, but still far from perfection. With Shaw, I realized there was something extraordinary about the substance's reaction to the human genome. I was able to unlock new properties and tweak the organism's aggression and instinct for survival. The key to David's creation would be in an appropriate host, and while he also experimented on the engineers, his notes suggest they were not exactly compatible in hosting the organism as intended. It was deemed that the species who created him, humans, would be the ideal mothers of the alien. The result, once Captain Oram becomes an opportune test subject, would be the Protomorph. While not quite exactly the same kind of xenomorph as encountered later on with the Nostromo's crew, David admits, "I still have one thing to perfect, my queen." In lieu of a queen, it seems clear that upon the Protomorph's birth, that David makes an attempt to have the creature imprint on him and recognize him as its parent, though even David himself must understand and appreciate the short-sightedness of such a practice. His notes outline the apparent need for a queen, and perhaps this is why the Protomorph was a great deal less tactful than the other xenomorphs we've seen, and certainly more uncontrollably rabid, despite the properties that David prides himself in tweaking. His notes outline that connectivity between tissue, muscle, and nerve endings provide the creature with movement and touch sensitivity. The level of sensitivity varies between individual beings, though a hive-like mind appears to connect them to a common goal. A queen, it would seem, is integral to the survival of the species for more than just reproductive reasons. Without a queen reigning over this hive mind, there is chaos. As David's quote, brother, Walter, observes, one false note destroys the whole symphony. I believe David wished to be king to Shaw's queen. I'm sure in his own skewed way felt his offer to be the highest flattery. Shaw, a woman who is barren, unable to create her own life, could be mother to the perfect species. It would be ideal. It would be an honor, but it was not meant to be. Daniels, on the other hand, in cryosleep and fairly helpless, might make for a more cooperative subject. Based on what we've seen in Alien Covenant and what's highly implied in Advent, do you believe that Daniels, through David's radical experimentation, will ultimately become a queen xenomorph? Comment below and let me know what you think. And as always, thank you very much for watching, I really appreciate it, and please be sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and be sure to subscribe for more videos from Alien Theory. You can also follow Alien Theory on Twitter at alien_theory and on Facebook at alientheoryyt for more. And until next time, this is Alien Theory, signing off.